This is Contractor Sense with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Sense. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Financially Fit Business. Get the business tool that turns your financial statements into impactful graphs that help you see your business trends to make sure that you're not headed for a cash flow, profitability, or productivity issue. Go to www.financiallyfit.business and get started today. Thank you for joining us. Here is how we will help your business and you. What do you do if you need funding for your business? Maybe to purchase your building, to buy out a partner, or funding so your children can purchase your business and you can walk away, or maybe some other reason like, line of credit, something like that. Many times you turn to your banker. However, an SBA loan may also be an option for you. My guest today, Dylan Caraway, Senior Loan Officer at Live Oak Bank, the #1 SBA loan funder in the United States for the 7(a) program, gives you some options when you need funding for real estate, to purchase a business, or more. Dylan, welcome to Contractor Sense.
Yeah, Ruth, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Now, for those of you who are listening, Dylan is the person, and I'm going to, there may be others, but I've known Dylan for a really long time. And he is responsible at Live Oak for contractors and making loans to contractors. Am I right?
That's right. We love all residential and commercial service-based contractors. It's an industry we've been highly involved in since 2018 and have had the opportunity to work with hundreds and hundreds of contractors.
Yeah. And talk a little bit also about what Live Oak Bank overall does. I mean, I know there's other areas, but give everybody the overview of Live Oak Bank.
Yeah, I'll try to make this short and sweet. But we're a bank that's headquartered in East North Carolina, founded in 2008. We went public in 2015, and we've been the #1 SBA 7(a) lender year over year in the country since 2017. And we just take a completely different approach to banking than most banks, where we focus on industry and not geography. So we have 40 different industries we specialize in. I specialize in our service contractor vertical, which is primarily HVAC, plumbing, electrical. We're starting to see some roofing and garage door service companies as well. But very unique business model where we do have that deep industry expertise.
Cool. Very good. So I'm not sure all of our listeners, not our lenders, our listeners know what the 7(a) program is. So would you kind of explain that too?
Yeah, it's kind of like what the SBA considers their flagship program. A lot of contractors became very familiar with the SBA program in 2020 when COVID hit, and everybody was scrambling to get the PPP loans, which is the Paycheck Protection Program loans, as well as EIDL loans. But their 7(a) program has been their flagship program for decades, and essentially helps first-time buyers and existing business owners grow and transition their businesses. So on the growth side, you have acquisitions. So local business owner wanting to buy a local competitor, and when I say local, I mean 2 to 3 hours away. And we do a lot of commercial real estate financing. So if a contractor is leasing their building and they want to purchase a building so they can start building equity for themselves, or they've outgrown their space, we do a lot of working capital financing, which is investing in the organic growth of your business. So think rebranding, marketing, advertising, hiring, do a lot of debt refinance. So if your business got put in a tight spot and you had to take out some short-term high interest debt, we can oftentimes give relief there. And also lines of credit for seasonality and to fund future growth. But what I think is really cool about our transition side of the equation is we help a lot of business owners sell their business or transition their business to key employees or family members. And how folks have historically done that in the past is just with a handshake agreement called seller financing, because they didn't know that there was another option available. And through the SBA program, there's very flexible down payment options in loan terms where we're actually able to make that happen, where mom or dad gets paid and gets to enjoy their retirement. And, the son or the daughter can, run the business, take full ownership, and pay the bank back with full control.
Yeah. It may not be son or daughter. It might be employees too, correct?
Yes. We see it about half and half for succession planning is what we call it, whether that's a son, daughter, or a key employee. Oftentimes that's maybe a GM or service manager or lead tech. In those deals, we love financing because we consider them somewhat lower risk because those folks are typically have been involved with the business for many years. They know the customers, they know the vendors, they know the business model. So we love internal buyouts.
And also that's part of the due diligence process, I assume.
Yeah, most certainly. Going through, what the business looks like, what roles did the previous owner have, and what roles, will the new owners be assuming moving forward.
Yeah. And one of the things, and we'll get into this more after the break, but one of the things that I see that business owners like mom and dad, if dad is doing all the selling, somebody has to sell. Okay.
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah. So just, if you're looking to get out, make sure that the people who will be taking over the business have some experience either selling or some experience managing or something like that before Dylan gets cold feet.
Yeah, we want to make sure that new owner is going to be comfortable with all aspects of the business. So, we take an in-depth conversation into what that transition plan looks like to make sure that, we're setting everybody up for success.
Yeah. And that's the key. We want everybody to win here. We don't want it to be a win-lose.
That's correct.
All right. So before we take a break, if somebody's interested in talking to you, how do they reach you?
I think best is my cell phone number.
Okay.
And that is 252-671-2427. You're welcome to call and text me at any time. And email is also good as well. And that is my first last name. So that's DILLON CARAWAY at liveoak.bank.
And it's .bank, not .com, correct?
That is correct. That always throws people off.
Yeah, it's like, okay, everybody's like .com, I'm sure, but it's liveoak.bank.
Yeah, we made that shift a few years back. It's just more secure, which we like.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. Imagine you had total freedom. You didn't have to worry about money. You didn't have to be a slave to your business. The words, I can't, are eliminated from your vocabulary. What if you could do what you want to do, whenever you want to do it? A financially fit business could give you that freedom. How? By knowing what your financial statements are telling you and taking action based on what they say. You can do this in less than 10 minutes a month at an investment of less than taking your family out to dinner once a month. And if your financial statements are a mess, you can get help. Go to www.financiallyfit.business or click on the QR code below to get started today. We're back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. I'm speaking with Dylan Caraway, who is the Senior Loan Officer at Live Oak Bank, the #1 SBA loan funder for the 7A program in the United States, and the person to talk to if you're a contractor, because that is his vertical at Live Oak Bank. So, Dylan, before the break, we kind of got into an overview and things like that. And, somebody can go, okay, I'm interested. What's the first step? They call you on the phone, obviously like that. You probably, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. What happens?
Yeah, great question. It starts with an initial conversation. So I can learn about, who you are, what's your background, tell me about your business, and then, obviously discuss, who Live Oak is. But, once we get past that initial phone call, it typically transforms into a document request where we're sending out a financial request. And that typically consists of historical financials. So think previous 3 years of business tax returns or P&Ls. We'll want to get a year-to-date, like interim profit and loss and balance sheet to see how the business is currently performing. And we'll want to see what type of debt that business has, if it's an existing business. And that's kind of a good starting point is we run a historical cash flow analysis on their existing business. We're also interested to learn, how does this business generate revenue and where does that revenue come from? We really love the service repair, add-on replacement, or change out business model where there's stable, reoccurring, high margin revenue. And we typically want to make sure that that revenue is kind of spread out. So it's not all coming from one source, because that's what we would consider, it's called customer concentration. And we typically like to see 20% of or less coming from, a single source. So that's really where we start, is the financial review of that existing business. Give the business owner some feedback. Hopefully it's good feedback. And then we discuss, what are your goals? Do you want to acquire a business? Do you want to buy real estate? Do you want to get working capital to invest in your business? Do you want to consolidate and refinance some debt? And that's kind of where that conversation segues into is okay, good job running your existing business. Now, how can we help you accomplish your goals?
All right. I'm going to pick up on something you mentioned about P&Ls and balance sheets. What if they're a mess?
Then that makes my job a little bit harder. We go through those P&Ls line by line, and I don't know if you'd be surprised or not.
No,
but
I would not. I promise you I
sometimes
would not.
I've seen the net income line on a P&L, and then below that they pencil in plus 50,000 for cash jobs. So I'm like, no, we can't do that. But sometimes it's common mistakes like miscategorizing cost of goods sold, or wages and officers' compensation not being separated on the line item, which is important for us to know because we're looking at, those KPIs. But when we're reviewing those financials, we really analyze revenue, cost of goods sold, gross profit, overhead, and net profit. And then we look at, what adjustments we can make to that net profit. But the cleaner the books, the easier it is easier it is for me to do my job and for the business owner to obtain funding.
Do you require that they are CPA audited or reviewed?
We do in certain scenarios. So if we do not have filed tax returns, from the IRS, then we do require CPA audited financials or a quality of earnings. We typically try to go the route of CPA audited financials, just because getting a quality of earnings report can be somewhat costly. So definitely, when business owners have good CPAs, that just makes our life so much easier.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because the CPAs probably did the tax returns, I would assume.
Yep. And they know the ins and outs of those businesses. It's amazing how good of memory CPAs have, because I'm sure they have so many clients, but they can just dive right in the financials with me on phone calls and just clears up, so many questions that, we can sometimes have.
Well, all right. So we've gone through the financial review and everything looks really good.
Perfect.
And you say, okay, we will fund this loan. And what happens then? Time period, that type of thing.
Yeah, great question. And I'll go just based on average. So, we have the full loan package. We think it's an opportunity we want to move forward with. Customer wants to move forward. We send a proposal letter, they send that back, and then we send them to our underwriting department.
Mhm.
That process can take 7 to 10 business days. That's what we typically quote, but I've seen deals get underwritten in 1 to 2 business days. Every deal is different. Some are more complex than others, so that's why we have to quote 7 to 10 business days. So just think, 2 weeks. And then that goes to formal credit approval, assuming we get approval, which, I don't send deals to underwriting unless I'm confident they'll get approved. We move into the closing stage, and that's typically 4 to 5 weeks given on the deal. And a lot of that timeline is dependent on our customer being responsive and getting us what we need. So just think in total about 6 to 8 weeks after we have a full application to funds going out the door.
Got it. All right. So we don't start this process today and expect it to be done tomorrow, is what you're saying.
Yeah, usually when you can get funding that fast, there's a lot of fine print you need to read, because those are typically those short-term high interest loans that can really cripple a business's cash flow.
Yeah.
So it is not something you get overnight, but it is relatively quick compared to war stories that contractors may have heard about other, folks getting SBA loans. Again, we can typically complete the process in 6 to 8 weeks.
All right. Also explain what the difference between a preferred lender for the SBA is and a general lender.
Yeah, great question. Something I always encourage folks to really look into when they're looking at banks to work with in the SBA for that SBA loan program. So there's preferred lenders and there's general processing lenders. Live Oak Bank is a preferred lender, which means the SBA trusts the bank to review the financials and respect the SBA program and act in good faith. So we have a long track record with the SBA. We do a lot of SBA loans, so we're able to review all the financials in-house, get approval in-house, and fund in-house, which helps speed up your timeline by like 60 to 90 days, which is a huge win because there's a saying that time can kill all deals. So typically the quicker you can move, the higher percentage you have to close that deal. General processing lenders have to operate a little bit differently. Maybe they're newer to the SBA program or they don't have the best track record. So they're taking that application from the customer, packaging it up, sending it to the SBA for review. And then, sometimes they may have to wait, 60, 90 days. It can really vary. So working with preferred lenders, you're working with the bank that has experience with the program and can get you turned around a little bit quicker.
Well, all right. Last question. How much?
How much can we fund?
No. How much? Okay. We agree the loan is cool. What are the fees that are associated with it?
Okay. So yeah, there's closing costs associated. The bank does not, I think the bank, maybe charges maybe a $2,500 packaging fee to cover back office stuff. But for the most part, they're going to be third-party closing costs. So think appraisals, lien searches, title work, stuff like that. But there is a larger closing cost that is called the SBA guarantee fee. And, the SBA is a self-funded program. So that is a fee that, depending on the loan size, is roughly 3% of the total, funding amount. And that's a fee that gets paid directly to the SBA. But the beauty of all that is everything is included in the loan. So all those fees are amortized over the life of the loan. So you're not having to come out of pocket for that, which is a huge benefit.
Absolutely. All right. Give everybody your cell phone number again and your email address again, please.
Yeah. Cell phone is 252-671-2427. Email is DILLON_CARAWAY@liveoak.bank.
Thank you so much. And thank you for joining me today.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruth. It's been a blast.
And thanks to all of you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money, too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email Ruth King at hbacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.